Today, students, in this lesson, I will be discussing leadership in the organizational setting. Okay, so to start with, let me present to you Anne Sweeney. Anne Sweeney's leadership has been a decisive factor in remarkable turnarounds of the ABC television network. Of course, this network is not in the Philippines. It's in the Western country. But with her help, with her leadership, they're able to overcome obstacles and they were able to innovate. And based on the article of this about this person, there is a great result and strength uh, that was emphasized. And Anne draws upon her optimism and her grace in keeping her focus firmly on the future. So as a leader, he or she, should I say, she was so focused on the future. She has a vision for the company, and she's very optimistic. And she's very concerned about the people who work um who work for her. Okay, so in this situation or in this scenario or article, you can see that Anne is a good leader, a visionary, a good leader to her members, to her followers. She's very concerned with the people under her, and she's very gracious, and very protective of her followers. And that's the good uh, evidence of a leadership, a characteristic. Okay, what is leadership? Leadership is the ability to influence, motivate, and enable others to contribute towards effectiveness of organization of which they are members. So as I've discussed in the past, uh, anyway, this is just a review. So you know what is leadership all about? This is an ability. At hindi lahat ng tao merong kakayahan na mag-lead. Okay? So, if the person has the ability to influence, kaya niyang mag-influence ng ibang tao, kaya niyang i-motivate yung ibang tao, and can contribute effectively sa isang organization, then masasabi natin na meron siya nung tinatawag natin leadership potential. Okay. So that is our definition of leadership. Now let's try to differentiate leaders or leading versus managing. So when it comes to management, the role of the management is to promote stability or to enable the organization to run smoothly. So the keyword here is stability. So gumagawa sila ng paraan para mag-stable ang isang uh, plan or program sa isang company or maybe the processes in the company. Okay, para maging smooth yung transaction within that company, okay, or organization. Okay. On the other hand, leadership is to promote adaptive or useful changes. Okay, the key word for this is to promote adaptive or useful changes. The idea when it comes to leadership is, ang leadership kasi is, it's more on providing vision, planning for the company's future, and when it comes to to leadership, meron tayong tinatawag na innovation. So siya yung nag-uumpisa sa pag-innovate ng isang company. So kapag nag-innovate ang isang company, there will be changes. And papasok doon ang leadership to help the company or the organization adapt to the changes. Okay, so yun yung role ng leadership. Pero sa management naman, let's say nagkaroon ng change, naging successful yung pag-adapt ng mga tao sa isang company. No, pagkatapos nun, kailangan ng stability, meaning they have to maintain the change. So doon papasok yung management. So I hope it's clear, no, yung difference between managing or management and leadership or leading. Okay. There were two forms of leadership. The first is formal leadership and the second is informal leadership. So when we say formal leadership, this is exerted by persons appointed or elected to formal authority in organization, meaning the person is appointed. Nung na-hire siya sa company, nilagay siya sa position na yon, that is appointed, therefore, that is formal leadership. Like for example, yung mga supervisor, no, mga managers sa isang company, mga yon, tinatawag natin formal leadership. When it comes to informal leadership, they are leaders na naging leader lang sila because of their influence. Very influential sila, maybe because they are charismatic people. Okay, so dahil doon, nahihikayat niya ng mga tao, nai-influensyahan ng mga tao na sumunod sa kanya. No? Kahit na hindi siya appointed. Okay, so we call that informal leadership. So these are the two forms of leadership. Okay, and let's move on to this. Meron tayong tinatawag na shared leadership. This is the view that leadership is broadly distributed rather than assigned to one person, such that people within the team or organization lead each other. Okay? So, for example, in a group, merong leader. Pero yung leadership na yon, pwede siyang i-share sa members. How? Through delegation. Okay? By delegating a task, maybe, no, you are giving your members the power. So therefore, yung leadership mo, kumbaga, dinidistribute mo doon sa followers or sa members mo. So a shared leaders or leadership calls for first, formal leaders willing to delegate power. So let's say, for instance, in this picture, okay, so let's say this is the leader, itong group. And this leader is appointed, meaning it's a formal leader, okay? So na-hire siya for that position. And etong taong to ay willing siya to delegate yung mga tasks dito sa mga kasama niya. So if you want to have a shared leadership, ganito dapat. Okay. Another is collaborative culture. The employees support each other. So, meaning, dinelegate niya yung task at nagko-collaborate sila. Okay? And employee ability to influence through persuasion. So, hindi lang yung leader ang may ability to influence or to persuade other members, but dahil nag-share siya ng kanyang power, eto, at saka eto, may also have the ability or the capacity to influence other people. Okay? So that's shared leadership. Is this possible? Yes. In fact, sometimes yung isang team, mas lalo silang nag-grow kapag may shared leadership. Okay. So, since we're talking about leadership, there are several perspectives of leadership. Okay, ito yung mga yon, no? We have competency perspective, behavioral perspective, contingency perspective, transformational perspective, and implicit leadership perspective. So, umpisahan natin ang discussion natin si competency perspective. Okay, so what do you mean by this perspective? Para mas maintindihan natin, let's try to define what do you mean by competencies. Of course, I know you know this already because I've discussed this in the past, especially when I talk about recruitment on job analysis. Okay, so when we say competencies, this is the personal characteristics that lead to superior performance in leadership role. That's such as yung kanyang skills, yung knowledge niya, yung values meron siya, no? Itong mga ito ay example ng competencies. Okay? And sabi dito, there are emerging views about this. Sabi niya, several competencies now identified as key influences on leadership potential and of effective leaders. Meaning, may mga klase ng competencies or skills, knowledge, values, or and the like, no? Na nakakatulong sa isang leader para maging effective siya sa isang group or organization. Okay. And research also indicated that some extent or to some extent, people are born with the desire to lead or not lead, somewhere between 17% and 30% leader emergence has a genetic basis. Now, actually, in the past, no, there's a debate about leadership. Ang sabi nung iba na ang pagiging leader daw ay, no, pinanganak ka na, na leader. So, meaning, nasa dugo mo na yan. Ang sabi naman nung iba, hindi ganon. Sabi nila, natututunan yan. No? Sabi nila, leadership or leaders are made. So, of course, that's the debate. Leaders are born and leaders are made. So, nagkaroon ng debate about it until such time, sa paglipas ng panahon, na-discover nila na it's not really totally born, hindi rin naman totally made, but maybe it's a combination of both. So, meaning, there is an interaction between genes and the environment. Na nandiyan siya sa genes mo, but the environment will also help the person to hone yung kanyang innate capability to become a leader. Okay? So, when it comes to this competency perspective, naniniwala ito na ang mga tao daw or leader ay born and some of them are desired. They have the desire to lead and some do not. Okay? At of course, naniniwala din ito na yung pag-emerge ng isang leader ay nakabase sa kanyang genes. Okay, so that's the competency perspective. Okay, and based on this perspective, there are 8 competencies daw na kailangan sa isang leader. Una is the personality. Okay, ang leader daw, in terms of personality, dapat extrovert siya. So in terms of extroversion, dapat outgoing, talkative, sociable, and assertive. Okay? And dapat conscientious din siya. Meaning, may conscientiousness, mataas siya doon. So pag mataas ang isang tao sa conscientiousness, careful siya, dependable, and self-disciplined na tao. So meaning, responsible siyang tao. And another is open siya, no? Open dapat siya sa mga new experience, gustong-gusto niya nag-e-explore. So, yan yung magandang leader, no? And mababa siya sa neuroticism. Of course, dapat lang, no? Kasi kapag mataas yan sa neuroticism, ibig sabihin masyado siyang emotional. Meaning, konting bagay lang, nagre-react na siya. So, dapat ang isang leader, ang personality ng isang leader is low neuroticism. Mababa siya sa neuroticism, meaning hindi siya um, emotional, siya ay emotionally stable. Okay? What else? Another leadership competency is self-concept. Okay? Under these, sabi dyan, positive self-evaluation. So, ang isang leader dapat meron siyang positive self-evaluation para mataas ang kanyang self-esteem. Okay? Naniniwala siya na kaya niyang gawin ng isang bagay, papasok doon ang self-efficacy. And this leader is always in control sa lahat ng ginagawa niya. So, dapat, no, ang isang leader may positive self-evaluation. Okay? And then, of course, kapag may self-positive evaluation ka din, no, you are confident. Pag nagsalita ka sa harap, alam mo sinasabi mo, confident ka sa sinasabi mo. That's positive self-evaluation. Okay? What else? Another competency is drive. Under these, dapat mayroon kang high need for achievement, which serves as the leader's inner motivation to pursue goal. Napag-usapan natin last time about motivation and there are different needs. Okay, but when it comes to leadership, and under drive, dapat ang need niya is achievement. That will motivate this person to first pursue or achieve the goal. Next, integrity. Another competency under integrity, that's truthfulness and consistency of words and action. In short, dapat walk the talk. Meaning, kung ano sinabi niya, ginagawa niya. At dapat lahat ng sinasabi niya ay totoo. And dapat consistent din siya sa mga decisions at sinasabi niya. That's a good leader. So leaders have high moral capacity to judge dilemmas on the basis of sound values and to act accordingly. Lalo sa organization, di ba? Sometimes, or not sometimes, madalas, most of the time, yung leader ang nagde-decide. So, dapat when it comes to decision making, dapat yung values, no, ng isang leader ay naayon or tama. Okay. So, dapat ethical. Hindi yung may pinapanigan. Kung may process kayo, may policies sa organization, pina-follow niya. At yun yung nagiging basis niya sa pag-decide. Okay? So, that's integrity. Another is leadership motivation. Under this is effective leader has a strong need for socialized power. We talked about socialized power last time. They want power as means of as means to accomplish organizational objectives. Simple lang ito, no? Ginagamit niya yung power niya para sa mga tao, hindi para sa sarili niya. Okay, so that's socialized power. Another, knowledge of the business. Effective leaders possesses knowledge of the business environment in which they operate. Of course, kaya dapat ang isang leader may experience yan bago siya mag-leader. Okay? Kasi very essential yung knowledge niya. Hindi mo basta-basta ilalagay yan dyan, wala siyang alam, no, sa pag-manage. Okay. Next is cognitive and practical intelligence. Of course, kailangan na kailangan to. The leaders above average cognitive ability to process information. So, mataas ang kanyang cognitive ability. or intelligence. Of course, kailangan niyo yun para madali niyang ma-solve yung mga problems sa company. Okay? And of course, dapat magaling din siya sa practical intelligence or mataas siya when it comes to practical intelligence. Kasi may mga taong, alam niyo yun, okay ang cognitive intelligence nila, pero yung mga suggestions nila ay hindi practical. So, dapat balance din. No? Mataas yung cognitive intelligence, mataas din yung practical intelligence. Another competency is emotional intelligence. First, effective leaders have high level of emotional intelligence. They are able to perceive and express emotions, assimilate emotions and thoughts, understand, reason with emotion, and regulate emotion in themselves and others. Very essential ito. Kasi sa pagiging leader, nasa iyo lahat yung decision eh. And there are times na, may mga client ka na dradramahan ka nila and all. And you have to be firm. No? May mga tao din no, na hindi mo mape-please, no? Because maybe of the processes, of the decisions you make, no? Maaring hindi mo sila ma-please. So therefore, maaring ma-trigger ka emotionally. So if you are not stable, cannot manage your emotion, then that will become your problem as a leader. So as much as possible, a leader should have a high level of emotional intelligence. Okay. So then, what is the limitations of this perspective? This perspective implies a universal approach. Very general siya kung tutuusin, no? But leadership is far too complex to a universal list of traits that apply to every condition. So, napaka-general naman ng mga itong mga traits na ito or competencies na in-enumerate. But as we discussed kanina, hindi natin makita dun yung kung kailan siya gagamitin, kailan siya nararapat. No? So parang napaka-general nung perspective na to or ng theory about leadership using competency perspective. Okay? What else? Alternative combination of competencies might work just as well. No? Two people with different sets of competencies might be equally good as well. So, parang ang diniscuss lang niya, dapat ma-possess mo yung mga yun. But, what about or paano kung may combination lang, di ba? Maybe you are, in terms of personality, okay ka naman, and intelligence, okay ka, and then pwede rin maging successful ka as leader. No? Yung iba naman, iba ang combination niya, and successful din sila. No? So, hindi masyadong na-elaborate yun or wala yun dito sa theory nito. So, that is the limitation. Okay, another is assumes leadership is within the person. Now, bad leadership is also about relations with followers. Okay? So, hindi lahat ng pagkakataon ay leader lang ang focus natin. Sometimes, when it comes to leadership, we have to also consider the followers. So, in this perspective, nakafocus lang siya sa competencies ng leaders. Okay? Paano naman yung mga followers? Paano pag di-match yung leader tsaka yung followers pala in terms of competencies? So, another, competencies refer to leadership potential, not to performance. So, parang point ng competencies, dapat meron ka ng competencies na ito. Pero tandaan nyo, hindi lahat ng competent individual ay performer sila. Meaning, nandyan lahat yung competencies, pero kapag nagtrabaho sila, maaring mag-fail sila. No? O pwede rin namang wala sa'yo lahat ng wala yung ibang competencies sa'yo pero maganda yung performance mo. So in this competency perspective, so naka-focus siya masyado sa competencies ng isang leader, yung potential ng isang leader. Pero hindi niya na-focus masyado yung performance. So if meron ka ng competencies na to, kamusta yung performance mo? Hindi niya na-emphasize. So these are the limitations of the competency perspective. Okay, now let's move. Another is we have the leader behavior perspective. Okay, so this one. So yun ay competency perspective. This is now the behavioral or behavior perspective. So under this, no, meron siyang tinatawag na people-oriented behaviors at meron din siyang sinasabing task-oriented behavior. So ano pagkakaiba ng people-oriented and task-oriented behavior? When it comes to people-oriented behavior, there's showing of mutual trust and respect, concern for employee needs, looks out for employee well-being. In short, ang focus ng isang leader dito ay yung mga tao niya. On the other hand, when we say task-oriented behaviors, assign a specific task, ensure employees follow rules, set stretch goals to achieve performance capacity. In short, the focus here are the tasks. Okay? So, of course, when it comes to leadership, may mga tao kasing people-oriented sila. Meron din namang nakafocus sila. Nakafocus sila sa trabaho. So, no, either, no, pwede kang maging effective. Okay? But according to this theory, we have to balance these two. No? That we have to balance the concern for productivity or tasks and the concern for people. No? Kasi kapag hindi natin na-balance yan, so kapag nag-focus tayo masyado sa tao natin, no, maapektuhan yung trabaho. Pag nag-focus naman tayo masyado sa trabaho, like puro deadline ka ng deadline, no, na hindi mo na iniintindi yung well-being ng tao mo din. Magkaka-problem ka din. So the point of this perspective, behavioral perspective, is you have to balance the concern for productivity or tasks and concern for people. Okay. So since you have to balance the two, let's talk about task versus people-oriented behaviors. Recent evidence suggests that both styles are positively associated with leader effectiveness. So meaning, related itong dalawang to sa pagiging effective ng isang leader. Okay? Another differences are often apparent only in very high and very low levels of each style. Like we have cases here. Sabi dito, absenteeism, grievances, turnover, and job dissatisfaction are high among employees who work with supervisors with very low levels of people-oriented leadership. So, study lang ta, research. Na kapag ang leader daw nila ay hindi siya nakafocus sa people or sa tao, there is a tendency na yung mga tao niya ay laging nag-absent, laging may problema, no? May nababiolate, mataas ang turnover rate, dissatisfied sila sa trabaho. Yan. So, madaming nagre-resign. Why? Kasi hindi siya nakafocus sa trabaho niya. Sorry. Okay. Another findings, job performance is lower among employees who work with supervisor with very low levels of task-oriented leadership. Kapag naman puro ka na lang people-oriented, ang tendency, mababa yung task-oriented leadership, no? Meaning, hindi na siya nakafocus sa trabaho, nakafocus lang siya sa tao. So, kunyari, yung empleyado, no? Lagi na siyang absent, no? Tapos, pag tinanong nung leader, bakit ka absent? Ang dami niya nang dinahilan, tapos umiiyak na siya, ganito, ganyan, no? Yung leader naman na yun, ay sige, okay lang, ganito, ganyan. Sa susunod, ayusin mo na lang, no? So, with that example, na I'm not saying it's not good to be people-oriented, pero, no, ang sabi dito sa research finding, kapag nakafocus ka too much on the people, napapabayaan yung trabaho, no? So, napaparalyze yung mga trabaho sa company. So, again, sabi kanina, there should be balance between tasks and people. So, do not focus too much on the task. Do not focus too much on the people. Rather, you have to balance your focus between them. Okay. The next, another leader behavior perspective limitation. So, ano naman limitation nito? People task categories are broad generalization that mask specific behaviors within each category. For example, task-oriented leadership includes planning, work activities, clarifying roles, and mentoring operations and performance. Each of these categories are fairly distinct. So, in short, anong pino-point out dito? Sabi niya, there are tasks, no? May mga trabaho na kailangan planuhin. No? Kailangan mong planuhin ng maayos. And then, kapag tinano mo yun ng maayos, syempre, madi-divide yung mga trabaho ng maayos. Kaya ginagawa natin ito sa job analysis, di ba? Okay? So, if these tasks are fairly distinct, no? Or fair sila na na-distribute, meaning yung mga roles, trabaho ay naayos, klaro, na-distribute ng maayos, then mamamanage yung magiging leader mo. No? Bakit? Or papaano? In what way? No? If you know your people, makatao ka, alam mo yung kakayahan nila, no? Alam mo kung paano mo i-distribute yung mga trabaho sa kanila. No? In a fair manner. Okay? So kapag ginawa mo yon, hindi ka lang people-oriented, task-oriented ka rin. But, in this leader behavior perspective, hindi niya masyadong na-emphasize yun. Sinabi lang niya na kailangan mo i-balance yung people and tasks. Okay? Pero hindi niya in-emphasize na kailangan gawin ito and all. Okay. Another, number 2, assumes best leaders display a high level of both people and task style. But best style seems to depend on the situation. Okay, so hindi naman sa lahat ng pagkakataon ay kailangan balance, no? Meaning, kung ganitong level ng person orientation mo, ganito din yung task orientation. Hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon. Ganon. No? Sometimes it depends on the situation. But here, in this theory or in this perspective, hindi niya na-discuss yun. Ang sinabi lang niya na i-balance dapat yung people at saka task. So, these are the limitation of this perspective. Next perspective, let's move on to contingency. Medyo madami-dami ito. So, the first, we have the following: Fiedler, Impact Theory, Housepat, Goldview, Hersey, and Blanchard, Grain, the LMS theory, and the substitute for leadership. So these are the contingency perspectives. So ano ba itong contingency perspective nito? This perspective is based on the idea that most appropriate leadership style depends on the situation contingencies. So leaders must be able to adapt their behavior and style to the immediate situation. In short, yung leadership style mo depende sa sitwasyon. Okay. Yun yung pina-point out ng contingency perspective. So let's start with the theory of Fiedler, leadership. According to this theory or this model, leader effectiveness depends on whether the person's natural leadership style is appropriately matched to the situation. So, nakadepende yung pagiging effective ng leader if nakamatch yung leadership style niya sa sitwasyon ng kanilang company. Okay? So, the best leadership style depends on situation control. Now, ano yung situation control na ito? This is the degree of power and influence that a leader possesses in a situation. Okay? May mga tao, guys, na they cannot control a situation. So the best leader, the best leadership style depends on the situation, the way the person or the leader control the situation. Okay? Situational control is affected by three factors. Una is leader-member relation. When you say leader-member relation, this is how much employee trust and respect the leaders and are willing to follow his or her plans. Yun yung tinatawag nating leader members. So, ito si leader, ito si member, they interact. Si follower, nire-respeto niya si leader. Si follower, willing siya na i-follow si leader. Nakikinig siya sa guidance ni leader. That's leader-member relations. The second is task structure. This is the clarity or ambiguity of operating procedures. So may mga procedures sa company and kapag klaro yun, kapag okay yung structure ng trabaho, the better. Pero kapag hindi clear, malamang magiging problem yun. At kapag hindi clear, maapektuhan yung situation control. Maaring yung leader hindi niya mamamanage or makakontrol ng maayos yung trabaho nila at yung mga tao niya. Okay, another is position power. The extent to which the leader possesses legitimate power. So may na-appoint siya. Rewards or coercive power over subordinate. May mga leaders na influential. Okay, and because they're influential, they have the ability or they have the power to influence other people. But here, when it comes to position power, okay, kapag na-appoint ka sa isang position na mataas, automatic, nagkakaroon ka ng legitimate power or position power. So, if in-appoint ka as a leader, automatic na yun. There is a position power doon. And dahil may position power ka, you have the power to coerce yung iyong mga subordinate, yung mga under you. So, kunyari may decision ka, kahit ayaw nila, pero dahil ikaw yung nasa posisyon, kaya-kaya mo silang hatakin na mag-follow sa'yo. That's coercive power. That's position power. Okay? So, through leadership member relation, task structure and position power, pwedeng maapektuhan yung pagkontrol sa isang sitwasyon, sa isang organisasyon. Okay? So, to summarize that, as you can see here, Fiedler situation contingency model, ito yung kanyang model. You see the leader-member relations here, the task structure, and the position power. No, makikita nyo dyan kung good, high, low, strong, weak, strong. Yan. No, good, poor, high, low, weak, strong. Nakikita nyo dito. No? So, kailan daw dapat magkaroon ng high control at low control? At kailan din may moderate control over situation? So, sabi dito, a task-motivated leader tend to be non-directive in high and low control situation. So kapag ito yung sitwasyon, at saka ito and ito, yung leader daw ay non-directive. Okay? So, hinahayaan niya lang yung mga workers. Hindi siya masyadong focus sa kanila. Okay, and directive in those in between, our relationship motivated leaders tend to be opposite. So, yun namang relationship motivation or motivated leader, yung control niya sa mga followers or yung control niya sa this situation ay moderate. Okay? So, that's a relationship leader or motivated leader. Kung titignan nyo ito, simple lang. Tignan nyo lang yung combination ng leader-member relations, task structure, position power. Kung good siya, kung high and low, it's like you are trying to interpret a psychological test, report, or scores. So, ganun din yan. You have to match, kapag good, high, and strong. So, good leader-member relations, high task structure, strong position power. Anong dapat? So, dapat may high control sa situation niya. And that is focused on the tasks. Pansinin nyo din, no? Kapag ang tao masyadong focus siya sa task, ang leader, talagang kinokontrol niya lahat. Okay, no? Okay yung relationship niya sa kanyang subordinates. Pero very much yung control niya sa tasks. Okay? And talagang ginagamit din niya yung power niya to coerce yung kanyang mga kasamahan. That's task-motivated leader. Pero meron din naman relationship-motivated leader. They can be good member or leader member. There's a good leader-member relations. Okay sila in terms of relationship. Okay. If low and high, weak and strong. And ayan. So whether good or poor, high, low, or weak, strong. No? Ang point lang dito is, kapag moderate yung control mo, hindi ka masyadong controlling, in short. At times, monitor mo sila. Minsan, hinahayaan mo lang sila. So, moderate lang yung control mo. Meaning, you are considering the people. So, that is more on relationship-motivated leadership. Okay. Simple lang, ito, kapag high yung control, or the opposite, low in control, the focus of the leader is the task. Mas motivated siya to task. Kapag moderate lang, ang control sa situation, that's relationship motivated leader. Okay? Another theory under this is the impact theory. Okay, this is by Loney and Johnson. They believe that each leader has one of the 6 behavioral style, which can only be effective in particular situations or organization planning. Okay? Ano yung mga styles na ito? Informational, magnetic, possession, affiliation, coercive, and tactic. We have examples here. Information style, in a climate of ignorance. So kapag wala masyadong alam yung mga kasamahan mo, kailangan as a leader, dapat meron kang informational leadership style. Okay? You give information, you provide information to your followers. Another is magnetic style in a climate of despair. So let's say malungkot sila, hindi sila okay. No. So as a leader, kailangan mong hilain sila towards positive, no? Kailangan maging happy ka para ma-influence mo sila. Mapalitan yung climate sa organization. No? Another is position style in a climate of instability. Okay? So, kapag hindi stable, no, minsan madaming ganap, no, madaming changes. So, hindi stable. So, as a leader, kailangan meron kang position style to stabilize the climate in the company. Kapag naman anxious yung mga tao sa company, so as a leader, no, dapat meron kang affiliation style. So, paano ito? Kapag open ka sa tao, they are willing to join you. Pwede silang mag-disclose ng mga problems nila sa'yo. No? So, as they disclose, gumagaan yung pakiramdam nila, feeling nila they are affiliated sa'yo, kasama ka nila, and they belong. No? Nawawala yung anxiety nila. Okay. Another coercive style in a climate of crisis. Minsan may mga problems sa company, no? At kung hindi mo sila i-coerce, I mean the people, if you don't coerce the people to do something, walang mangyayari sa company. So, in times of crisis, kailangan mo magkaroon ng coercive leadership style. So, another is tactical style in a climate of disorganization. Nangyayari ang disorganization kapag you are in the process of change. Okay? So, kailangan as a leader, may tactics ka, strategies ka para ma-manage, no, or ma-organize yung company. So, that's tactical leadership style. So, this is the impact theory. Okay. And according to this theory, in addition, there are 4 leadership strategies. First, sabi dyan, find a climate consistent with your leadership style. No, kanina, dami nito, no? May disorganization, crisis, anxiety, instability, despair, ignorance. So, ano bang klaseng leadership meron ka? Okay? Kung alam mo yung klase ng leadership style meron ka, hanap ka kung saan ka suitable sa mga ito. Sa despair ba, instability, anxiety, etc. Doon ka magiging effective as leader. Number 2, change your leadership style to better fit the existing climate. So, at sometimes, no, lalo na kapag in-appoint ka lang doon sa position na yon, no, wala kang choice. No, kung ganun yung climate doon sa department na yun, for instance, no, wala kang choice but to change your leadership style para mag-fit ka doon. No? Kasi kung hindi mo ipapalitan yung leadership style mo, lalong magugulo yung department or no, yung team mo. Okay. Another, change your followers' perception of the climate. Kung ayaw mong baguhin yung style, influence mo yung mga tao mo na baguhin nila yung kanilang perception about the situation kung nasaan yung team ninyo. And number 4, changed actual climate. Okay? So, medyo mabigat na to. But you can do this. So, these are the 4 strategies proposed by the impact. Next theory, the House path goal view of leadership. According to Robert House, path goal leadership theory is a leader should I say, must adjust his leadership behavior to meet the needs of the subordinate. Kita nyo dito, yung leader na ang nag-a-adjust para sa subordinate niya. So this contingency theory of leadership is based on the expectancy theory of motivation na-discuss ko na last time. The paths is equal to employee expectancies. The goal is equal to the employee performance. So expectancies and then the performance relates to several leadership styles to specific employees situation contingencies. Okay. So the path goal theory states that effective leaders ensure that employees who perform their job well receive more valued rewards than those who perform poorly. So effective leaders also provide information, support, and other resources necessary to help employees complete their tasks. So kung makikita nyo dito, mas madaming effort talaga sa part ng leaders or sa leader. Kumbaga, ikaw yung nag-create ng path ng iyong mga followers. You support them, you reward them. Dapat fair yung rewards, of course. You give them information, you give them what they need. So that's path goal theory. Okay, so let's talk about path goal theory leadership style. So, una, sabi dyan is instrumental. Under these, first, kung mapapansin nyo, halos similar din siya sa kanina. We have the task-oriented behaviors. So, meaning there's planning, organizing, and controlling the activities of employee. So, kung ikaw yung leader at task-oriented ka, you do the plan, plano ka, organize mo lahat, you're in control of the activities of your subordinates because you want to accomplish a task. Okay, pag supportive naman, people-oriented behaviors yan. So it focuses on subordinate needs, well-being, and promotion of friendly work climate. Meaning, you focus more on supporting your subordinates, you're a friend to them. Of course, you acknowledge their well-being, hindi mo sila ni-stress, in short. Maganda yung relationship mo sa kanila. Okay, that's people-oriented behavior. Okay, so parang yung kanina din, no? May task at saka people. Okay, so eto din yung leadership style ng path goal. Okay, aside from this, instrumental and supportive, meron din siyang participative leadership style. It focuses on consulting with subordinates and seeking and taking their suggestion into account before making decisions. So from the word participative, you consider your, manpower, kung may mga suggestions sila or may mga ayaw sila, no? Pinakikinggan mo. So that's participative leadership style. You encourage them, you facilitate the involvement of these employees doon sa decision making. Okay, another style is achievement-oriented. Encourage peak performance through goal setting and positive self-fulfilling prophecy. So, alam niyo naman yung self-fulfilling prophecy, di ba? Kapag sinasabi mo, pinoprophesy mo na ganito siya, o later on, ifulfill niya yun sa self niya. So, kapag puro positive yung sinasabi mo sa employees mo, nag-gain sila ng uh, confidence sa sarili nila, okay? At dahil doon, gumaganda rin yung performance nila in the long run. Okay? Kaya very essential, no, to have this leadership style, yung achievement-oriented. So you encourage your subordinates, you praise them, uh, i-push mo sila, uh, hindi yung puro mura or negative words ang lumalabas sa bibig. Okay, so that's achievement-oriented. Okay, so let's evaluate the path goal theory. This theory has received some research, but evidence is far from complete. Meaning, hindi pa masyadong madaming research about this. Nagkukulang pa. Kailangan pang ng further research para ma-prove yung mga claims nito. Number two, a few contingencies have limited research support, such as the task structure. So, kailangan talaga ng research pa. Number three, the theory expands. The model may become too complex for practical use. So, yung kanina kasi, yung unang model, dalawa lang. Pero ito, mayroon na siyang additional na two participative tsaka achievement-oriented. Okay, so mas complex siya. So, it might affect the practical use of this theory. Okay. Another theory under contingency theory is by Hersey and Blanchard, the SLT. One of the most popular contingency theories among the practitioners in the situational leadership theory. Developed, of course, by these people. This SLT suggests that effective leaders vary their style with the readiness of their followers. So, nakadepende yung leadership style nila sa readiness ng follower. Anong definition ng theory na to on readiness? Readiness daw refers to the employees or work team's ability and willingness to accomplish a specific task. Okay. Important ito na maging ready yung empleyado mo. Kasi kapag hindi sila ready, wala, hindi sila gagalaw. No? Mapaparalyze yung performance. Wala kayong ma-accomplish. Okay? If they don't have the ability to do the task, they are not willing to accomplish the goal, walang mangyayari. So, very essential ang readiness. No? And according to this theory, yung leadership style mo ay nagba-vary. You can change that depending on the readiness of your workers. Nakadepende kung ready sila o hindi. Okay. So, another important word here is ability. Based on the definition of readiness, ability refers to the extent to which the followers has the knowledge, experience, skills required to be able to perform the task without the leader's guidance. Then willingness naman refers to the followers' motivation and commitment to perform assigned tasks. This one, ability, talks about competencies, and yung willingness talks about commitment. Mga big word yung mga yan. But, no? Putting them together, you have the competency plus the commitment, that's readiness. Okay? So, let's talk about the leadership style of this theory. Okay, so under this, as you can see, we have the S1, S2, S3, and S4. And as you can see here, we have high, low directive behavior and low, high supportive behavior. So if your leadership style is directing, meaning merong high directive behavior, and low supportive. Kapag coaching naman ng style mo, high directive and high supportive. Kapag supporting naman ang leadership style mo, high supportive and low directive. Kapag delegating naman ang leadership style mo, low directive, low din ang supportive. Para mas maintindihan nyo yan, let's move to this one. As you can see, S1, S2, S3, and S4. No? So have directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. So these are the suitable style. So pag directing yan, dapat may structure, may organization. You teach and you supervise your subordinates. Kapag coaching, you direct them, you support them. Kapag supporting naman, you praise them, you listen to them, you facilitate the discussion with them. Pag delegating, you assign day-to-day decision-making responsibilities. Pero kailan natin ito ginagamit? Of course, kapag yung iyong subordinates ay low sa competence at high ang commitment nila, pwede mo gamitin ang directing style. Kapag yung subordinates mo ay moderate to low competence, nasa middle yung competencies nila, at low commitment, pwede mong gamitin yung coaching leadership style. Kapag moderate to high yung kanyang competency at variable yung kanyang commitment, pwede yung supporting. Support lang. No? Pero kapag highly competent na siya, tapos highly committed pa siya, pwede ka nang mag-delegate ng trabaho na lang sa kanya. No need na i-monitor mo siya from time to time. Just delegate the task kasi alam mo committed siya at competent siya. No? So I hope this table ay mas madaling intindihin. So tingnan nyo lang, dito yung klase ng readiness ng mga manpower o mga subordinates. Kapag ganito yung readiness nila, ito ang appropriate na leadership style according to this theory. Okay, so let's evaluate SLT. Despite the popular and commercial use, several studies and at least 3 reviews have concluded that the SLT model lacks empirical support. So kulang pa rin siya ng studies or research. No, only one part of the model apparently works, namely the leader should be using telling, which is the directive style, when employee lack motivation and ability. So, minsan kasi may mga empleyado na demotivated na sila. So, yung mga ganong klase ng empleyado, kailangan mo i-direct kung saan sila dapat patungo. Itong part na ito, may mga data tayo dito sa directive style. But to some, yung ibang parts, yung ibang style, hindi pa masyadong supported yan. So maybe in the future, you may conduct a research about this. Okay, number 3, most parts don't represent reality very well. So these are the limitations of SLT. Okay, another is Green LMX theory. This emphasizes the quality of the working relationship between leaders and followers. There's a level of mutual respect, trust, loyalty, determine power position and leaders in group and out group. Kapag daw in group ka, o in group followers ka, you tend to function as assistant, lieutenants, advisor, and have quality personalized exchanges with the leader. Kapag out-group ka naman, followers tend to emphasize more formalized job requirements and a relatively low level of mutual influence exists between leaders and the followers. In short, kung ito yung leader, in group ka, lagi mo kasama yung leader mo. Ang tendency mo, para kang assistant ng leader. No? So, nagbibigay ka ng suggestions sa kanya, nag-i-exchange ka ng different suggestions sa kanya. Kapag out-group ka naman, meaning, hindi ka part ng in-group, hindi ka masyadong close doon sa leader. So, ang tendency, kung ano yung trabaho binigay sa'yo, yun lang yung pina-follow. Okay, hindi ka masyadong nai-influensya ng leader. There is no mutual influence existing between you and your leader. Okay? So, research suggests that high-quality LMX is associated with increased follower satisfaction and productivity, as well as decreased turnover and increased salaries and faster promotion. So, the more daw na mas there's mutual understanding between you and your leader, so mas nagiging productive ka, hindi ka nagre-resign, mabilis ang promotion mo. Okay? That is Green's LMX theory. So, ano naman yung critic dito? Research has been supportive. Employees with high-quality LMX are more satisfied with their jobs, are less likely to leave the organization, perform at high levels, and engage in organizational citizenship behavior than do employees with low quality LMX. So the limitation for this is supervisors and employees often have different perspective of the leader-member exchange. Problema, nagkakatalo tayo sa perception. Yung iba kala nila close sila pero hindi ganun talaga. So the point here is yung perception natin doon sa relationship meron tayo sa ating leader may influence the exchange between leader and okay. So ayan. Kasi pwede namang para sa leader mo ka-close ka niya pero para sa iyo perception mo parang hindi siya open sa'yo. So, you're not suggesting anything sa iyong leader. So, sometimes, it's all about perception. Okay, so, yun yung limitation ng theory na ito. Okay? Next. Leadership substitutes. This perspective indicates that sometimes hierarchical leadership makes essentially no difference. Substitutes for leadership make a leader influence either unnecessary or redundant in that they replace leaders' influence. Example, it will be unnecessary and perhaps impossible for a leader to provide the kind of task-oriented direction already available for an experienced, talented, and well-trained subordinates. Which is true. Alam niyo, may mga subordinates sometimes na naka-hire tayo na magagaling talaga, very competent. And, kung ikaw yung leader nun, hindi mo na siya kailangan turuan kasi kaya-kaya niya na. Huh? So, sometimes ito yung mga tao na magandang i-train para maging kapalit no leader na existing. So, kunyari, mag-retire na siya. So, mayroon na agad papalit. No? So, when it comes to this theory, substitute for leadership, no, that's possible. No, you train them. Not na hindi mo sasabihin na kulang ka. Pero, the idea is you are preparing them to become a leader. Okay. Pero ang hirap lang talaga minsan is dahil itong pinakamahirap talaga is kapag mas marunong pa sila sa leader. No, may mga ganun kasi talaga. So they can be a substitute for the leadership. So this approach is especially important in examining self-directed work teams. No, in today's complex firms, instead of having dramatic and important effect, much of the impact to leaders has is literal symbol. Examples tayo. These are the characteristics of the individual. So, and the characteristics of the job. So, let's say there's experience, ability, and training. No, ang substitute natin dito is task-oriented leadership. Okay? Kapag professional ang orientation naman, ang substitute natin dito is task-oriented and supportive leadership. Pag indifference towards organizational reward, ang kailangan na substitute natin is neutralize task-oriented and supportive leadership. So, kumbaga, these are the leadership style. At ito yung mga characteristics ng mga followers. Okay. So, on the other hand, ito naman yung characteristics ng job at ito naman yung kind of leader na dapat. So, pag high structured, substitutes for task-oriented leadership. Kapag intrinsically satisfying, substitute for supportive leadership. And another is yung characteristics naman ng organization. So, kapag ganitong characteristics ng organization, ito naman yung appropriate na leadership style or leadership substitute. So, next. Okay. Next is transformative leadership. Konti na lang. This, AG Lefley, CEO of Procter and Gamble, practice transformational leadership without using charisma by performing, communicating a clear vision and modeling that vision. He has transformed the consumer goods company. So, may keyword tayo dito eh. Mayroon siyang clear vision, kino-communicate niya yun sa tao. And mino-model niya yung vision na yun. Meaning, there's walk the talk. Meaning, kung ano sinasabi niya, ano yung vision niya, ginagawa niya. Okay? So, under this, no, let's try to differentiate transformational leadership style and transactional leaders. No? Pag sinabi natin transformational leadership, a leader perspective that explains how leaders change teams or organization by creating, communicating, and modeling a vision for the organization or work unit and inspiring employees to strive for that vision. Transformational leaders are change agents. They change the organization, strategies, and culture to better fit with the surroundings of the environment. Okay, so in short, they transform the company or the organization. Kapag transform natin yung organization, remember our discussion, we said organizational development, di ba? Proseso yun. Pagdating sa leadership, may mga tao talaga na kayang-kaya nilang i-transform ang isang organization from this to this. Okay? And usually, ang ginagawa nila is they create the vision at yung vision na yon ay pinapanindigan nila at ginagawa nila, meaning they walk the talk. That's the way they influence people so they can transform or the organization will be transformed. Okay. Pagdating naman sa transactional leadership that helps organization achieve their current objectives more efficiently by focusing on leader-follower exchanges necessary for achieving routine performance agreed upon between leaders and followers. This one focuses on the communication. Okay. So, if you want to achieve the goal of your organization, dapat may transaction between the leader and the follower. You exchange suggestions, strategies, etc. At dapat nag-agree kayo. Okay? So, that's transactional leadership. Managing, here, achieving current objectives and um, for or to become more efficient. Okay, so that's transactional leadership. Okay. Pag-usapan naman natin ang transformational versus charismatic leader. Charisma differs from transformational leadership. Charismatic leaders are those leaders who are capable of having a profound, extraordinary effect on followers. Charisma is a personal trait or relational qualities that provides apparent power, whereas transformational leadership is a set of behaviors that people use to lead the change process. In some research, they point out that charismatic or heroic leaders easily build alliance or allegiance in followers, but do not necessarily change the organization. No, ang transformational leadership kasi they change the organization. No, ang charismatic leader, pwede siyang mag-influence ng ibang tao. Pero yung influence niyang yun may not be the cause of organizational change or transformation. No? Pero pwede pa rin niyang gamitin yung pagiging charismatic leader siya. Yeah, no? So that's charismatic versus transformational leadership. Quality kasi yan. Usually yung mga charismatic na tao, mga heroes, no? Or mga competent na tao na pinagkakatiwalaan natin na pag nagsalita sila, paniwalang paniwala tayo. Very charismatic sila. Okay? Pero hindi ibig sabihin na ganun sila ay nag-change na rin yung organization. Maaring charismatic sila. No? Yeah, may appeal sila sa tao, pero they don't walk the talk. Possible din kasi yun. Kaya, hindi sila nakakapag-change ng organization. Unlike when it comes to transformational leadership, they walk the talk. So they create vision, they change the organization, they transform the organization. Okay? So what are the elements of transformational leadership? They create strategic vision and they communicate that vision to the people. Another is they model the vision. They walk the talk. No? They build employee trust. Number 4, build commitment to the vision. So there's increase. This is increased through communicating and modeling the vision. Okay, this is also increased through employee involvement in shaping the shared vision. Okay, so let's evaluate now the transformational leadership. So this leadership style will make a difference. The subordinates are more satisfied, have higher effective organizational commitment under transformation leadership. Circular logic by some writers, they suggest that leaders are transformational when they successfully bring out change rather than when they engage in certain behavior we call transformational. So, it's all about change pag sinabi natin transformational leadership. Usually, described as a universal rather than contingency-oriented model, itong transformational leadership. But there is a need to explore the idea that transformational leadership is more valuable in some situations than others. So, hindi niya masyado in-emphasize sa theory nito ay yung applicability niya into particular situation. Okay. Then lastly, last perspective is the implicit leadership perspective. A theory stating that people evaluate leadership effectiveness in terms of how well that person feels, preconceived beliefs about features and behavior of effective leaders. And that people tend to inflate the influence of leader on organizational events. So for this theory, mayroong preconceived belief. So, minsan kasi may leader tayo, meron na tayong ini-expect dun sa leader na, eto yung leader, dapat ganito siya, ganito, ganyan. And sometimes, yung mga preconceived beliefs natin about sa leader may influence uh, the relationship between the leader and the follower. Now, no, follower perceptions of characteristics of effective leaders. Ano to mga to? Leadership prototypes. This is a preconceived image of effective leader used to evaluate leadership effectiveness. No? So, another is the romance of leadership. Okay? Followers tend to distort their perception of the influence of that leaders have on their environment. Or one reason why people inflate their perception of the leader's influence is because it is easier to simplify life events in terms of leaders' ability instead of analyzing a complex array of other forces. Okay? Simple lang naman ito, no? Medyo madali naman siyang intindihan. Okay, now let's move on to so those are the perspective on leadership. So now let's talk about the issues on leadership in terms of culture. There are issues. One, societal culture values and practices affect leadership. Of course, malaki ang influence ng values and norms sa pag-shape ng isang leader. Okay. The culture or the values and culture influence the decision and action of a leader. And shape follower prototype, yung mga perception natin sa kung ano ang leader dapat, yung culture and values natin pwedeng maka-influence sa perception mo. Okay? What else? Some leadership style are universal, others differ across culture, of course. Kasi magkakaiba ng personality, magkakaiba ng background, magkakaiba ng kultura. So, the kind of leadership style or the leadership style will depend on the culture. Kaya minsan, nagba-vary from one culture to the other. So, charismatic visionary seems to be universal, while participative leadership works better in some culture than others. Male and female leaders have similar tasks and people-oriented leadership. Another, these are gender issues naman, no? Gender issues. Okay, so may mga similarities daw yung male and female sa task and people-oriented leadership. Though in some studies, kapag female daw, mas more on people-oriented. Kapag male daw, more on task. But there are also studies na sinasabing pareho lang. What else? Participative leadership style is used more often by female leaders. Okay. Evaluating female leaders. How? Let's see. Still receive negative evaluation as leader due to prototypes and gender stereotypes. Dahil babae na, no? But evidence that they are good at emerging leadership style, such as coaching and teamwork. See? May mga stereotype man tayo sa mga babae, pero magagaling sila in terms of coaching and teamwork. So, that's it. That's the end of this chapter. So, if you have questions, just type and I will answer.